The Wolfpack Alliance is emerging in Canada as a group of individuals determined to take control of a lucrative criminal market. They are young, bold, and come from very different backgrounds. Some of them have affiliations with the Hells Angels, a motorcycle club known for its long-standing influence in North America. Others come from the Red Scorpions, a network active mainly in Western Canada, or from smaller organizations looking to make a name for themselves. Despite the diversity of their backgrounds, they have a common goal: cut out the traditional middlemen and deal directly with the powerful Sinaloa cartel in Mexico. Their ambition is clear. They want to import large quantities of cocaine, seal their domination of the market, and rake in spectacular profits. This unlikely alliance forms in a context where the old guard of Canadian mafia, though firmly established for decades, is reeling from arrests, internal wars, and the gradual disappearance of its historical figures. The young wolves, convinced they can outdo their elders, decide to make a bold move and prove they have the means to become the new benchmark for organized crime in Canada. In the Canadian criminal landscape, the name Rizzuto has long echoed as a symbol of power, especially in the province of Quebec. The Rizzuto family, associated with the Sicilian Mafia of Montreal, has dominated the scene for years. However, between coordinated police raids and internal rivalries shaking the hierarchy, the Rizzuto dynasty is no longer as solid as it once was. Some of its members find themselves behind bars, while others disappear in vendettas. The Hells Angels are not exempt from this reality either. Several police operations weaken their ranks and leave them vulnerable. The Red Scorpions, for their part, are struggling to extend their influence nationally, but are confronted with the presence of other gangs established for a longer time. In this breach, the Wolfpack Alliance sees an opportunity to develop a major importation project that will make a lasting impression. Contacts are made, promises are exchanged, and the horizon of a deal of the century begins to take shape. The brains behind this initiative include individuals accustomed to lurking in the shadows, but now aware that they must make their mark in a climate of intense competition. In their eyes, traditional structures, too slow and focused on their own power struggles, leave a void to fill. Among the leading figures of this new generation, two names stand out: Rabih, Alkhalil, and Martino Caputo. They operate mainly from the Toronto area, where a significant market is forming for the drugs they plan to introduce. Alkhalil is already known for his ability to maintain crucial relationships with various criminal groups. He was born in the 1980s, growing up in an environment where violence and easy money are a fascination. From an early age, he mingles with gangs, learns their codes, and builds a reputation as a reliable but feared character. Caputo, on the other hand, has Italian family roots that enable him to understand certain mafia mechanisms, while leading him to cultivate constant prudence. He knows that one misstep can have fatal consequences. Both men, aware of the volatility of alliances in the criminal underworld, nonetheless believe they can pull off an unprecedented arrangement to place a direct order with the Sinaloa cartel for a volume of cocaine never before attempted by their circle of traffickers. At this stage, they do not fully grasp the magnitude of the risk, but they know that the potential reward is immense. In Mexico, the Sinaloa cartel occupies a dominant position in the international drug trade. Its branches extend across the continent. The faction that agrees to deal with the Wolfpack is interested in a consignment arrangement. They send the merchandise on credit, waiting for payment once the Canadians have sold the cocaine on their territory. The Mexican leaders, often linked to multiple channels of smuggling and money laundering, are drawn to the promise of a direct partnership. They know that Canada represents a burgeoning market, less saturated than other regions where competition is fiercer and police surveillance more sophisticated. However, they demand guarantees. The reputation of the Wolfpack is at stake. The final discussions focus on a shipment valued at $5 million. This sum, considerable for a single shipment, reflects the trust that the Sinaloa faction is willing to place in the Canadian negotiators. It is necessary to prove that the Wolfpack can receive, store, and distribute such a quantity of drugs efficiently without attracting the attention of the authorities or inciting jealousy from other well-established groups. The transit plan is elaborated with care. The cocaine must leave Mexico, cross the border to the United States, and then head up to Chicago. From this American metropolis, a hub for exchanges to the north, the merchandise will continue its route discreetly to Canada. The traffickers establish a precise itinerary, with relay points held by trusted accomplices who know the subtleties of the route. The idea is to minimize the risks during border checks, to avoid leaving too many electronic traces, and to prevent customs officers from spotting potential anomalies. For the police, the commercial flows between the United States and Canada are immense, and the authorities cannot inspect everything meticulously. Cars, trucks, and maritime containers transit continuously, which offers fertile ground for ingenious traffickers. Once the drugs have crossed the borders, they will need to be stored in a discrete location before being divided among several distribution cells. Within the Wolfpack, each affiliated group hopes to get their share of the profit. The Hells Angels, known for their relatively hierarchical structure, see this operation as a way to consolidate their image after several legal setbacks. The Red Scorpions, more focused on the West Coast, believe it is time to establish themselves more solidly in the east of the country. Smaller factions just want their share of the loot, aware that such a financial windfall could propel them to the rank of major players in trafficking. #metapause, Sex 2.0. On the ground, the atmosphere is electric. Everyone realizes that this shipment, if it arrives in Toronto and sells at a good price, could bring in much more than $5 million once it is broken down into doses intended for end consumers. The profits, reinvested, can also be used to corrupt customs officers, pay lawyers in delicate trials, or finance other lucrative traffics. For the masterminds of the Wolfpack, this is a test of reliability. If they succeed, they prove to the Sinaloa cartel that they are capable of playing in the big leagues while remaining independent of traditional mafia structures. The prestige that comes with it also fuels their competitive drive against rival groups. They compare themselves to the young mobsters of the past who, by daring, brought down old barons too sure of their power. The difference this time is that the merchandise does not really belong to them. As long as the sum owed to the cartel is not settled, the Canadians are only the temporary guardians of stock that remains the property of Sinaloa. This situation adds particular pressure. Any misstep, any police interception, even a slight delay, could trigger a violent reaction from the Mexicans. #metapause, Sex 2.0. In the background, paranoia sets in. Alkhalil and Caputo know that the outside world is full of dangers. Other Canadian gangs do not look kindly on the emergence of an alliance that seems to want to monopolize the market. More traditional mobsters, even losing ground, might wake up and thwart their plans, believing that the young generation does not have the right to impose themselves so quickly. Police services, for their part, have been tracking unusual financial movements for a while. Customs officers, alerted by the rise in transborder cocaine seizures, could tighten controls at the wrong time. In the shadows, everyone keeps in mind that the Sinaloa cartel, known for its power and brutality, does not tolerate failures. It is in this tension-laden environment that the Wolfpack pursues its project. Key members, dispatched between Calgary, Vancouver, and Toronto, communicate using encrypted phones and sometimes encrypted messaging services. Codes changes regularly, and each participant strives to limit their comings and goings in public. The error would be to attract full attention from the border police or a competing group looking to seize the valuable cargo. #metapause, Sex 2.0. To maintain order internally, the Wolfpack establishes a precise allocation of roles. Some manage logistics, from providing modified vehicles to organizing storage locations. Others focus on financial transactions, seeking to place the collected money in offshore accounts or convert it into material goods invisible to investigators. The most experienced in the field of arms are responsible for securing the operation on site. They organize border surveillance and ensure that no informers have infiltrated their ranks. Although there is no clearly defined vertical structure, the participants share a desire to succeed together to gain credibility. Yet, tensions are inevitable. Some feel they deserve a larger share, while others are already worried about possible repercussions after the delivery. Exchanges sometimes become heated. In these moments, Caputo, who has a certain level of composure, often plays the role of moderator. He tries to reassure those who hesitate, reminding them that if all goes well, the benefits will far exceed the risks involved. Alkhalil, on the other hand, remains more withdrawn, preferring to work discreetly to coordinate the details of the operation and ensure that no flaws compromise the transport. At this stage, the arrival date of the shipment is approaching. They speak of the end of 2012 or the beginning of 2013, although no one publicly confirms a precise schedule. Intermediaries in Mexico communicate signals via satellite phone, assuring that the route is open and that the merchandise is ready to depart. On the American side, the complicity of certain truck drivers and dubious warehouses allows them to cross several states without too much difficulty. The Canadian customs officers do not suspect that, in the coming weeks, this large-scale operation could result in one of the biggest cocaine landings ever recorded by the national police forces. Enthusiasm is growing within the very tight circle of the Wolfpack. The final details are being fine-tuned: where to store the drugs, who will be in charge of negotiating with local wholesalers, which routes to avoid to not undergo random road checks. Everyone is redoubling their vigilance, as a grain of sand in this mechanism could be costly. The fugitives on parole must keep a low profile, and those with a criminal background do not want to make the mistake of moving with the drugs on them. Meetings take place in improbable locations, sometimes on the street, sometimes in apartments rented for just a few days. Trust must be earned, and no one is unaware that the Sinaloa cartel is watching the matter closely. At the same time, the Mexican leaders are mindful of past alliances that have failed. They know that the Wolfpack does not have the solidity of a single organization. It is more a gathering of individuals linked by ambition and profit, not always by true loyalty. The cartel still agrees to deliver the merchandise, encouraged by the guarantees it believes it has received, but it leaves implicit threats hanging. In case of failure, the response will be swift and implacable. The cell leaders on the Canadian side are perfectly aware of this. Hence, they redouble their efforts to prevent any information from leaking. No way can the police discover the scale of this trafficking. No way can a rival attempt to snatch the drugs just before they hit the market. Competition is fierce, and the criminal world is already buzzing with rumors that a big hit is in the works. But no one knows precisely when, where, and how. Federal authorities sometimes receive echoes of intercepted conversations. Some enemy factions talk of potential shipments. However, the operation, very compartmentalized, remains difficult to pinpoint for investigators who, without concrete proof, can only observe and try to guess the Wolfpack's intentions. As the deadline approaches, tension rises a notch. The Wolfpack troops are getting impatient. They ensure that the money necessary for the first payment to the cartel is ready, at least to cover the initial part of the costs. Internal small-scale score settling temporarily calms down, as there is no question of shooting themselves in the foot on the eve of a historic transaction. All factions affiliated with the network have as much to gain as to lose. The fear is not only economic. A misstep could lead to bloody reprisals. The local media, focused on other matters, do not suspect that such a major operation is about to take place. In the streets of Toronto, life goes on as if nothing is happening. Yet, in the shadows, armed men are getting ready to receive a shipment that will disrupt the balance of cocaine trafficking in the country. Fear sets in at every corner of the nascent hierarchy of the Wolfpack. If they succeed, they become indispensable. If they fail, it's assured downfall, and perhaps worse, as the Sinaloa cartel does not accept any damage without reprisals. As the hours pass, the race against time intensifies. Phones heat up, coded messages are exchanged. The accomplices on the American side confirm that the shipment has passed certain key stages of the journey. The drivers, likely paid handsomely, don't ask questions as long as they are assured they can cross the borders without a hitch. Once the batch is through, the packages must be transferred to a temporary warehouse located in a sparsely frequented industrial area. No one wants to attract attention. The time of the Canadian delivery is approaching. It is agreed that once the cocaine arrives in the Toronto area, it will be split into different batches, with a designated drop-off point to conduct counting and quality checks. Rumors speak of a discreet location, away from prying eyes. They want to avoid major hubs like ports or marshalling yards, which are too closely monitored. The criminals of the Wolfpack prefer an ordinary place, barely marked on maps, where trucks go unnoticed. In a world where each misstep can cost freedom or life, everything hinges on precision and discretion during these final preparations. Finally, the estimated arrival date settles in everyone's mind. There is no official moment, no ceremony, just a certainty. The shipment, valued at $5 million, is now near the Canadian border. The instructions are clear. As soon as the drug enters Ontario territory, it must be secured on site. Some key members of the Wolfpack plan to monitor the operation from a distance, communicating in code, while others prepare to participate directly in moving the cocaine from the vehicles to the agreed-upon location. The more cautious prefer to keep their distance and only appear at the time of sharing the profits. Alkhalil and Caputo, meanwhile, are ready to step in should a major unforeseen event arise. Outwardly, they maintain a calm and composed demeanor, but inside, they know their rise depends on the success of this arrival. At the last minute, everyone holds their breath. The anonymous henchmen await a signal to head to the rendezvous point. Some carry concealed firearms, bulletproof vests, walkie-talkies in addition to their encrypted phones. The vehicles are parked not far from a lightly traveled road. As soon as confirmation arrives that everything is secure at the American border, they set out, moving at a crawl to avoid arousing suspicion. At this exact moment, none of the protagonists really believe an unexpected event could jeopardize the completion of the delivery. The thinking of recent weeks has focused on the threat of law enforcement, potential customs interceptions, or hostile competition. But the risks are deemed to be under control, and the team focuses on the details of the receipt. No one envisages that the real catastrophe might come from elsewhere. Here, confidence still reigns. The operation seems to be going as planned, and it's easy to imagine the reward awaiting those who have patiently played their part. The vehicles eventually head toward Toronto, where a discreet spot awaits them. For the Wolfpack, it's the moment of truth, the time to reap the fruits of long preparation, anxiety, and promises. No official road leads to their hideout. No legitimate justification explains this night journey into a dimly lit area. Everything happens in secret, as the environment demands. Yet, deep down, every participant hopes not to have been deceived. The instructions from the Sinaloa faction have been followed. The merchandise is about to be delivered, and the money will then have to find its way to the Mexicans. In this criminal microcosm, no one yet imagines that the danger isn't where they expect it. No one suspects that a major surprise is about to upend all plans. History is in the making, and tonight, the Wolfpack is about to enter a decisive phase. Before dawn, the men hope to leave with a treasure trove of cocaine that will definitively seal their status and prestige. Yet, they are far from suspecting that the game is only beginning, and that by morning, nothing will ever be the same. When the cocaine shipment finally approaches the city of Toronto, everything unfolds in an atmosphere that is both tense and strangely calm. The organizers of the Wolfpack, already on high alert, choose an almost anonymous spot to receive the merchandise. This is an auto scrapyard, sometimes called a junkyard. This vast land littered with car wrecks, where no one really pays attention to what's coming in and going out. In an industrial area on the outskirts, the presence of a truck delivering spare parts or transporting metals does not arouse curiosity or suspicion. The few workers present on site are used to seeing all kinds of vehicles pass by and do not ask questions. To outside observers, this scenery seems routine. No one suspects that today's operation involves several $1 million of cocaine, even less that it involves a partnership between a Canadian criminal network and one of Mexico's most feared cartels. Wolfpack has been considering the safest way to bring in this merchandise for weeks. It is planned that accomplices, sent at different intervals, will share the task of monitoring the area, ensuring that access remains open, and above all, that the drugs do not attract anyone's attention. The members of this alliance, which includes individuals linked to various criminal groups originating from Canada, coordinate at a distance. Each has a specific role. Some prepare the movement of the money, others plan the initial storage, and others yet must receive the precious packages at the opportune moment. Masterminds, Rabih, Alkhalil, and Martino Caputo, remain cautious and do not appear on site. They prefer to wait for a signal from their subordinates when it's time to either retrieve the delivery or move it to a more secured location. In the meantime, Wolfpack, convinced that this successful delivery guarantees a fruitful future partnership with a faction of the Sinaloa cartel, waits while maintaining a strict compartmentalization of information. On the big day, everything seems to go according to plan. Vehicles approach the junkyard, pass between rows of rusty or stacked cars, and settle in a dimly lit corner. The transaction remains discreet. Men carry sealed packages, wrapped in airtight plastic, sometimes concealed in fake mechanical parts. The entire operation requires precise timing, as the convoy cannot linger too long without drawing attention. The leaders of this transfer check that no one is watching them, then leave the merchandise at a pre-arranged spot. The contribution of those who transported the cocaine from the United States ends here. They leave without looking back, convinced they have fulfilled their part of the deal. By the time they leave the scrapyard, the drug packages are meant to stay in consignment until other Wolfpack members arrive to take charge of it. In the world of drugs, the notion of consignment means that buyers do not pay immediately. The supplier, in this case, the Sinaloa cartel, retains ownership of the merchandise until full payment has been settled. This represents an advantage for the buyers, who do not have to advance the entire sum. However, it's an agreement fraught with threats. In the event of loss or theft, the Canadian traffickers find themselves with an overwhelming debt, and the cartel demands its due, even resorting to reprisals if necessary. At this stage, no one within Wolfpack expects a twist of fate. The rest of the day should be simple. A trustworthy man passes by, quickly inspects the material, then gives the green light for the packages to be moved to another discreet site in the Toronto area. Yet, a few hours later, when an emissary goes to the site to begin the final transfer, it is with astonishment. No package lies around the expected spot, not a trace of a kilometer of duct tape, nor even a residue of a bag. The cocaine wrappings seem to have simply vanished. The emissary, certain of being in the right place, circles several stripped vehicles, leans to illuminate corners with a flashlight, but there's nothing to find. At first glance, no sign of a struggle, no broken window, no body, no shell casing. The discovery resembles less a bloody robbery than a magic trick. $5 million worth of drugs disappeared without leaving the slightest trace of violence. The information immediately reaches those overseeing the reception. A wave of panic sweeps through the Wolfpack, as everyone knows the consequences could be dire. In the hours that follow, phones heat up. Encrypted channels fill with confused messages and anxious questions. Who dared to take the cocaine? Is it an ambush by a rival gang eager to sabotage the Wolfpack's ambitions and reclaim the merchandise? Is it a simple employee of the junkyard who understood the value of the packages and decided to run away with this veritable goldmine? Or, an even more troubling scenario for the criminals, is it a swift and discreet intervention by a government agency that intercepted the drugs before the organizers could retrieve them? Speculation is rampant, without any concrete evidence to clarify the situation. Everyone wonders if one of the Wolfpack members orchestrated a double-cross in agreement with another criminal group, or acted alone, hoping to enrich themselves and disappear. Anxiety rises all the more because no one noticed any warning signs. The few people managing the junkyard deny any unusual behavior. They claim to have seen no suspicious individuals, no suspicious vehicles. The surveillance systems, if they exist in such a chaotic place, don't seem to be working, or it's unknown if they recorded any usable footage. The internal investigation stalls. The Wolfpack finds no witnesses who can confirm a theft, an unplanned visit, or the loading of packages into another truck. As the hours pass, group therapy turns into collective paranoia. Allies look at each other warily, fearing one of them was the instigator of this unimaginable theft. $5 million. It's a colossal sum that changes everyone's priorities. Verdict: no certainty remains in the face of this disappearance. Quickly, the question expands beyond internal responsibility. The protagonists fear the reaction of the Mexican suppliers just as much. The Sinaloa cartel, renowned for its power and determination, never takes lightly when its merchandise goes missing. Although the Wolfpack negotiated consignment terms, the message is clear. The cocaine is not yet paid for. It still belongs to the Sinaloa faction that sent it. This means that in the Mexicans' eyes, the Wolfpack is responsible for the merchandise until the moment of resale or full payment. Such an agreement comes with constant pressure because any mistake is met with a brutal reminder. You don't lose the cartel's money without excusing incompetence. In Mexico, even the idea that it could be an incident beyond the Wolfpack's control doesn't matter. From the cartel's perspective, it's an affront, a demonstration of inferiority, and perhaps a total lack of reliability. Yet, this reliability is crucial for maintaining the flow of drugs to Canada, a lucrative market for Sinaloa. Over the hours following the discovery, the atmosphere within the Wolfpack becomes unbearable. Potential suspects are numerous: an outside enemy keen to steal the drugs, an internal accomplice who saw the opportunity to disappear with the merchandise, or a government agency operating in the shadows seeking to dismantle the network. No one is able to simply rule out any of these options. Former gang members like the Hells Angels, or other groups linked to the Red Scorpions, begin to concoct theories, each distrusting the relationships the other members of the Wolfpack maintain. While henchmen comb the junkyard and its surroundings for any lead, other contacts try to gather information about what circulated in the city during the latest hours. They interrogate informants, check comings and goings in certain warehouses, and meticulously search the hideouts of potential rival gangs. This meticulous search yields nothing. No one really knows who would have the logistics needed to move such a large quantity of cocaine in such a short time. The Wolfpack might consider a sliver of hope if this theft were the result of a police intervention, because in some cases, when drugs are seized by the police, it's sometimes possible to invoke bad luck or negotiate an arrangement with the cartel. But here, no law enforcement unit has claimed an official seizure, and no communique reports any operation. The authorities don't even seem aware of the incident, reinforcing the idea that the theft originates either from a competitor or an insider who decided to make a huge score. Doubts persist, conjectures multiply, and in the meantime, the main figures of the Wolfpack, already highly exposed, face the prospect of imminent chaos. Some are beginning to think that they may need to disappear temporarily to avoid the fury of the Mexicans, while others insist on the necessity of finding the merchandise as quickly as possible, even if it means roughing up those who might have the slightest clue. This reality echoes through every stratum of the Wolfpack. The henchmen fear becoming targets if they ask too many questions or get too close to the truth. The lieutenants wonder whether they should protect their families or hastily leave the city. Some hope the police will intervene to avoid a chain of executions, while others fear the authorities will seize this opportunity to dismantle the entire network. Meanwhile, the few people who might have answers remain silent, aware that the repercussions could be fatal. No one is sure of anything anymore, and no one knows whom to trust. Unbeknownst to them, all the protagonists are already caught in an infernal race whose outcome is unpredictable, since they have neither the drugs nor a convincing explanation to provide to the cartel.